spending in the trillions of dollars. You have a national debt at 34. You're fitting the textbook economic definition of inflation, which is too many dollars chasing too few goods. So you're getting the candle burned at both ends with high rates of inflation, which is killing the working poor. It's killing the middle class, leading to highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Personal credit card debt now is at an all-time high, over $1.2 trillion. Credit card delinquencies at all-time high. Car repossessions all-time high. Interest rates are at not an all-time high, but they're much higher. They're 3 times higher than they were under President Trump. And what does that mean when you're trying to buy a house? Well, it means you're going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more over the life of that 30-year loan. And where's the economic security for our working families and middle class? It's not there anymore. So you need to reignite America's domestic energy industry to lower inflation. You need to stop the reckless spending and just bring equilibrium between revenue and spending, which is not that difficult, given that the federal government takes in almost $5 trillion a year in revenue. I mean, let's elect a new generation of Americans that can take $5 trillion a year and balance a checkbook. It's just not shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, economic stress, it's strain, it's for real. I've been a self-employed small businessman all my life. I know what the front line of a recession looks like, and you know, I know credit card debt is so high because people are hitting the plastic to maintain their standard of living. Inflation is now heading back up. Gas prices are still high. Food prices are high. I think cumulatively the inflation rate under Biden is close to 20% now. And they're not bothered by it. You have a political class in this country that is so disconnected from the people and the workers of this country. And I don't think there's been such a disconnect in our country's history, or really anywhere, that you have the people that run this country, that govern and pass our law, are so disconnected from we the people, which leads me to question,
well, I just think,
how can that happen?
Listen, I just think they have a different agenda. I mean, Schumer told you a long time ago, and people weren't paying attention, if we win Georgia, we're going to change the face of America. Well, you're seeing the face of America that's beginning to change. And to me, it's all about getting rid of the middle class. You're going to have a third world country where you're going to have poor, people that have a lot of money. And to be honest with you, we're in trouble. And that's not what America was built on. Eric, I know you're chomping at the bit. Go ahead.
I mean, we are facing a currency crisis. I mean, look around. Oil used to only trade in dollars. We got countries trading and settling their accounts not in dollars. That is going to cripple the U.S. dollar. We are adding $1 trillion to our deficit every 100 days. That's $10 billion a day. That doesn't mean we're spending $100 trillion. It means we're short $100 trillion on the $5 trillion that Mr. Murphy mentioned that we're already taking in from the hardworking Americans to make sure that we cover all the new illegal immigrants that are coming in and their children they're going to have. It's insane. I mean, let me ask you this question, and I hate to put you on the spot. I am a huge follower and believer in the things that Stephen K. Bannon says. And I'd like to know your opinion on the fact that we took out McCarthy so we can get rid of the omnibus and put in appropriations bills and individualized packages. What is your opinion on Mike Polly Pockets Johnson?
Mike Johnson. Well, I mean, look, I will say this about any speaker right now, Eric. It is a brutally tough job.
It is.
I mean, it's a brutally tough job. Okay, so let's look at the Republican Party. We have control of the House of Representatives by, 1 or 2 votes. I think maybe 3 or 4 tops.
Nancy Pelosi had a very small majority. They got a lot done, though, right?
Well, they walk in lockstep, absolutely, much better than we do. There's no question. We don't have, I don't think we get much through the Senate, and we're down a seat there with Chuck Schumer running the show, and of course, Mr. Biden's at the White House, and anything that does get through, he'd probably veto and shoot down. I think right now, get what you can. Get what you can, and you got it. We need Trump back in the White House with a kind of a coattail effect. We need to increase. We can't just elect President Trump this November. We need Trump with a comfortable majority in the House and Senate to get anything done. Because look, I always tell people, you win 51-49 in the Senate, you have a few House seats. We always can depend on somebody jumping ship on us. The Susan Collinses and
that's the problem, my friend. Yeah. That's the problem. You don't see that on the left. That's the problem.
No, you don't. I think somebody asked me this the other night, Barry. I was speaking at a retirement community down Atlantic County, and I said, it's just they're much more iron-fisted. Like, I'll give you an example. Congressman Andy Kim out here in the 3rd District, Eric, who's probably going to be the nominee for the Democrat Party for the U.S. Senate seat. He ran around the 3rd District when he was elected in, I think, 2018, and he told everybody, I will not be voting for Nancy Pelosi for Speaker of the House. And what's the first thing he did when he got to Washington? he voted for Nancy Pelosi to be Speaker of the House, and hasn't looked back since, because there's been no consequence to that lie that he told people. People keep reelecting him. I mean, as far as the Speaker, I want a firebrand, hard-nosed conservative that knows how to effectively communicate a message. That's who I would like to see with the gavel. Would I want to be Mike Johnson right now? No. I just wouldn't want the job. Right now, it's too brutally tough.
Yeah, sure.
The Republican Party does have to caucus and stay focused on getting a goal, because you don't want the American people to look at you and say you can't lead at either end. Yeah. Either you've got somebody being too disruptive, or Mike Johnson just not leading. Look, I always thought Kevin McCarthy was weak. I thought he was weak. I thought he was weak in the 22 midterms. He could have done a much better job organizing a kind of nationalization of the House races. He didn't do it. I always thought he was a little bit weak. I wasn't sad to see him go, but I was worried that we were getting into this kind of mode where we're going to get rid of one, put another one in, and not really change anything because of the dynamics of the fact that Johnson was on, I think, last night saying, look, we've got 1/2 of 1/3 of the government, and he's right. He is correct about that. And it's just tough as hell to push anything through.
And Mr. Murphy is a constitutional conservative, and I hesitate to say proud Republican, because I'm not quite sure what that is right now. I'm very disappointed in how the Senate has, we've kind of lost our Republican representation in the Senate. Prior to the House taking the majority, the Senate kind of submarined them by signing that giant appropriations bill, took all the leverage out of McCarthy's hands. Now, since we've had the majority in the House, what did we get? Like, we just passed the Ukraine bill. What did the GOP get out of that bill? From what I saw, they got absolutely nothing.
They did. They got the support of the Democrats.
So I would say, Mike Johnson, as much as I love him, he's a God-fearing guy, he's a conservative and all that. As much as I love him, he's just not using his leverage properly. I mean, Nancy Pelosi pretty much got everything she wanted with 1/2 of 1/3 with the same slim majority. So something's wrong. Like, why would he bring a bill up and get nothing out of it? I just don't understand that.
Well, I agree. I don't understand it either. I think what he looked at, if I had to take a guess, they had to, if they were going to get Ukraine aid and Israel aid and aid for Taiwan and the Pacific, they had to break apart the bills into three, because it wasn't going to pass. Because he figured out, Peter, that, I can get Ukraine aid passed if it's independent because I get enough Democrats to come along with me. And that's what he did as a matter of parliamentary tactic. He said, I'll get all three of these bills passed. I'll need Democrats to get the Ukraine aid through, and that's what he did. We are weak. Okay, our leadership is, look, there's no sugarcoating it. The Republican Party in Washington, they need to be a hell of a lot tougher. Now, in my opinion, with President Trump in the White House, he's going to lead, and he'll make them tougher. Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah, I thought that was a perfect opportunity in the House for the Speaker to have a standalone Israel vote, which they already passed about 5 months ago. It's been sitting in the Senate. Just for no other reason, to smoke out all the real anti-Semitic Democrats in the House. Have that vote. Let them vote for Hamas, for the Gaza situation. And at least then we know who our enemies and who our friends are.
But Peter, hold on one second, Justin. Peter, isn't it so that in this last bill, there's money donated to Gaza to bring either
plenty of money
here?
You gave $10 billion to Gaza.
Eric,
what do you
what's
think
going on with
that?
That was buried in the bill. No one even knew about it until basically yesterday.
Well, doesn't anybody read these things?
No one reads them. This is how bills work. They drop them 5 minutes before they're voted upon. In many cases, it happens at every level, from the state all the way up. I mean, I've been to the state capitol to argue for parents' rights, which is something we shouldn't have to do, in the face of the NJEA representatives out there with bullhorns yelling at us how they want to trans our kids, and parents have to stand up against it. It's time to wake up.
Justin, this is terrible. Your thoughts on that?
No, you point to, as I mentioned, the sexualization of children through public schools. Look, the left is very calculated. They know what they're doing. They're going for the young minds because they know children today are adults tomorrow.
Listen, Justin, we have to get you into office. You know what's going on. You know what's happening. What is it that's getting your way? Is the GOP helping or hindering you to get into office?
Well, if you look at the primary, Eric, for our U.S. Senate seat, we started this race, I think, as you're aware, with about 10 or 11 candidates. It was a really big field. And now we're down to 4, myself and 3 others. I do not have a single county organization backing me.
That's a positive if you ask me, because a lot of the county lines are totally corrupt. They like to lose, and they're better at it than winning.
Look, I wear it as a badge of honor.
I
haven't blown anything up or declared war on anybody, but look, I said I'm a conservative. I'm a grassroots, ground-up guy. I'm a Reagan Republican. I support Trump, and my support is most likely not going to come from county bosses who are, interested in taking the party in another direction. So, what's my biggest hurdle? I think my biggest hurdle for this election, this primary, Eric, is exposure. How many voters can I get exposed to? How many voters know about Justin Murphy? And that's really my key. I think I do very well with people. If I'm in front of you, I have a very good chance of getting your vote. I also think a huge dynamic in this race right now, New Jersey Right to Life has not endorsed anyone yet, and there's a very good possibility they sit on the sideline and not endorse anybody. Yeah. Now, in 2010, when I ran, I was fortunate to have their endorsement. When I ran for CD3, I was running against John Runyon, guy played for the Eagles. He announced a pro-choice position. I announced pro-life position, and New Jersey Right to Life did give me a nod. That is something I really need, because that gives me a statewide footprint that no other county column would ever be able to give to me.
Let me ask you a question.
Have you talked to PYC?
Who?
PYC. I can get you in with them. These Right for Life pro-lifers, they're the ones that
that's
show
Eric.
Oh, it's Eric.
Yeah, I did. I have spoken to them back in December. I never heard back from them. I think they went with another candidate, possibly. They're working with somebody else.
I got you.
I think I have a couple endorsements coming here soon from some family-oriented groups. I'll let them speak for themselves when the time's right. But the big thing right now is I really hope that New Jersey Right to Life feels compelled to step into this race. I am the only candidate that I'm aware of the four of us, that has announced a pro-life position. I'm not afraid of the issue. I'm not afraid of the words. My opponents are choosing to handle it a certain way, and that's fine. That whatever skill they want to apply to how they handle that issue. And it's a tough issue. There's no question about it.
But I think it's a mixed message, and that's the problem. And incidentally, did you ever see the movie Walking Tall?
No, no, I have not.
Well, when you go look at the movie, Barry Sable and Friends is offering to buy you the big stick. I just want you to know. We want you to walk around with the big stick.
Mr.
We
Murphy,
need law and order, my friend.
Mr. Murphy, since you did bring up, we didn't want to get into some really, I'll say touchy issues like abortion, but since you did bring it up and you have the backing of the pro-life group, what is your position? Is there a number of weeks that you're looking at? Are you looking at, the life of the mother and that type of thing? What is your position on that, so the voters can hear it?
Right. Well, what I do, thank you for that question, is, I don't run from any issue, and we should not, because in politics, if you let your opponent define you, you're going to lose the election. Right. And this is what is bothering me about the GOP a little more broadly. Everyone's scared to death to even mention the word. I'm not. I am pro-life. I'm unapologetic about it, but I have exceptions for the life of the mother and rape and incest. I think they're reasonable. I think we can build on that. But the issue about pro-life is you got to be on offense. You don't let your opponent define you. The extremism is the left saying that tax-paying dollars should fund abortion in the 9th month up until the day before birth. I mean, very few people support that. I think that's absolute insanity. But the abortion issue is you have to effectively win the messaging, define yourself. You have to define
and
yourself.
it's so nuanced. Yeah. Now you say, "Well, I'm pro-life," and that's great, and I happen to be in the same camp. But then you get into like the morning after pill, and you get into, I guess, basically the pill too, to a certain extent. Yep. So you really have to have a response to people that have all those nuanced questions.
And I got to tell you, Justin, before I let you respond, I watch TV, and you see already the Democrats are on the march. They're knocking Donald Trump for his abortion philosophies. This is going to be a big problem again in America for us. We need, like you said, we need to define a position. All Republicans need to figure out how to be on the same page and unified, because if not, if you don't have unification, I don't know how you're going to win. Listen, Justin, don't you dare go anywhere. It looks like, again, we're up against the break. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. You have been listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Again, we will see you on the other side.
Housing prices are going through the roof. Wages are absolutely terrible. What is your position, and how are you going to solve that to make the next generation be able to flourish, basically, financially?
Thank you, Blake. Thank you. Excellent question. And you're talking about the American dream. You talk about the American dream, being able to attain an education if you want, be gainfully employed, own property, own a home, feel economically secure, enjoy life and have fun, provide for your family, all threatened right now. Threatened because of not just Joe Biden's economic policies, but everything the left is trying to push on this country. Number one, we have to grow our economy. We need people, our young people need economic opportunity. They need to be gainfully employed. Okay, we also see it's domestic energy production is huge. We can put hundreds of thousands of Americans into the workforce gainfully employed if that industry can thrive again. When we stop deficit spending and we promote energy production, this country will extinguish the fires of inflation, which means interest rates then also come down. Because remember, when you have high inflation, inflation goes up. What does the Federal Reserve do? Well, they raise interest rates to combat inflation. So now you're lower working, poor, middle class. You're getting the candle burned at both ends. High rates of inflation, high interest rates. Can't buy a car, can't buy a home. You're still living at home. So it's economic growth and opportunity. And we need to grow our economy much more than we're doing now. We have miserable GDP numbers right now. One just came out. I think it's about 1.6%. It's actually 0.4% because it's an annualized number. We need to grow our economy more, ignite our domestic energy industry, stop deficit spending. Then you'll control inflation and interest rates between monetary and fiscal policy. When you do that, opportunity will be there in a free market economy. Young people will say, okay, I know I have a lot of student debt. However, I'm gainfully employed, so it's not really crushing my life. It's having student debt and working 10 part-time jobs. That's where the problem comes in. You're not starting families. You're not having children. Not to mention you're probably fairly miserable because you're under no stress like economic stress. But it is a message to our young people that the Republican Party can carry a banner for a much better and brighter economic tomorrow. And we can do it. We have the policies. We know what to do. We just need a new generation of Americans elected to be able to fight for what we need to fight for, and it's the economic growth. We got to start growing the economy instead of managing a miserable 1% GDP. And the left likes that. They like to dole out who should get what. You know, we need freedom, we need prosperity, we need economic security for our middle class, and it all starts with domestic energy, fiscal policy, and then monetary policy falls in place when you extinguish fires of inflation, interest rates drop. Now that home is more affordable. Now I can buy a car. Now I'm not getting crushed with a high interest rate. I'm not getting crushed every time I buy food or go to the gas pump. Generally, you know, good things can happen, but this is a banner that we can carry, and we just have to be effectively communicating the message and then have the right policies in position. And not to mention, we've got to win elections. If we're on the outside looking in, we can't pass the laws.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Hold on 1 second, Blake. Thanks for the call.
Justin, let me ask you a question. You definitely give me the appearance and sound of somebody that has served our country in another capacity, have you?
Yes, sir. I enlisted in the Navy at age 17. Served 4 years, did a deployment to the Middle East and the Persian Gulf, and did my 4 years. Was able to get to Rome and attended a mass by St. John Paul II before I got out, and it was a good 4 years. I mean, it was tough. Being in the Navy is tough, but I would happy to have served the country, absolutely.
And we're happy that you served. Thank you for your service. And my question is, when you see a flag, an American flag being taken down from a flagpole and another flag being raised, whether it's for another nation or quasi-nation, should there be a serious penalty for that criminally for those people?
Yeah, in my opinion, yes. I mean, that's so disturbing to me to see young people who, again, these are young people who are attending some of the finest universities in the world. They don't want for anything. They're paid for. They're attending colleges, and that most of the 8 billion people on this planet can't even think about going to. And it's the broader culture war. You know, someone is teaching these kids to be violent, to be hateful, to be myopic, to be militant, to hate America, to hate the flag, to hate white people and men and Christians and free markets and capitalism. Look, it's Marxism at work, and it's when someone climbs that flagpole and tears the flag down, our flag, and puts up the Palestinian flag or the Antifa flag or whatever the hell it might be, that's the culture war being presented to us right before. That's the culture war.
But Justin, we're wait a second, guys. Justin, we are so silent with this. I mean, we are so weak. Listen, you've seen Ray has talked about terrorism in this country, and now you're starting to see it unfold in its simplest form. This is nothing compared to what these people could do. I'm so concerned, and you mentioned it as I read it. Radical Islamic terrorism, culture war, hostile foreign governments. This is happening here, Justin, and we are doing Democrats obviously are leading the path and letting it happen, and Republicans don't seem to be putting up a roadblock.
Should we attribute the same to the reason that our recruitment for our military and armed forces is down by 60 to 70%, and maybe even more?
It's down. There's a number of reasons for that. Again, I enlisted at 17, and during that time, 1983, President Reagan was our president, and he was promoting peace through strength and feel good about America again, and the Cold War and all that. Now look at it today. Why are our armed forces missing their recruiting goals? Number one, you're feminizing the military. You're injecting this CRT, DEI, woke garbage. It just doesn't sit well with some people. You're also raising a generation of young people to hate this country.
Yeah.
So why would they want to serve and put their life on the line for a horrible, racist, failed experiment of capitalism, which is anti-human? I mean, God knows what they're taught, but you have a number of reasons for it. You got young people. Now, fortunately, we still have a lot of good young people that serve, and God bless them. But it's the culture war. It's these kids are being taught that this country, not just a political class in Washington, but the design of the country is flawed. It's racist. It's imperialist. It's misogynistic.
Mr. Murphy,
why would they fight for it?
Go ahead.
I want to thank you for coming on, and surely we'll do everything we can to support you. You seem like a kindred spirit to the values that we share. How we get to that end goal is really not important, but it's important that we stick together and we all work together to get there. Now, having been in the military, you seem like a tough guy and you can cut it. So let me ask some tough questions. Is Trump going to give out an endorsement for the Senate primary? That's question A. Question B is, in the general, do you think Trump's coattails, he won't win New Jersey, but do you think his coattails will be strong enough to push some of our congressional guys and our Senate guys over the line?
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you why, Peter, because, yes, I think Trump can grow those coattails, and here's why. And when I speak to people, I consistently say, the Democrat Party right now, even in New Jersey, where we're outnumbered by 1 million registered Democrats, which is not an exaggeration, they literally have 900,000 or 1 million more registered voters in the state than Republicans. However, the Democrat Party is hemorrhaging voters. They're hemorrhaging Jewish Americans, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, union blue-collar voters. They're hemorrhaging voters bad, which is one reason your southern border is open. They're looking for replacement.
I agree.
Okay, we have the opportunity to tap into those voters that are hemorrhaged from that party. And they should be losing voters because they're no longer the party of the World War II, FDR, Depression, blue-collar Democrat. They're the party of the Marxist globalist that wants to sexualize your children through public school curriculum, that wants an open border, that will refuse to crack down on crime. Okay, deficit spend, Green New Deal, electric vehicles for everybody. They're not the same party that came through the Depression and World War II. What does Trump do? I tell people, it's all about message. These people are disgruntled with the Democrat Party. They're leaving in droves. However, it doesn't mean they're going to come vote Republican. We have the opportunity, but we need a message. I believe I have that message. We need to inspire people like Reagan did to step into the Republican column, and the opportunity is there. Donald Trump said, I will campaign in New York. I will come campaign in New Jersey. These states are in play. He's right. He's coming to Wildwood May 11th. I'm going to be down there shaking every hand I can.
Super.
He's already started the campaign here.
Me too. Listen, Justin, before...
Yes, sir.
Has he made an endorsement yet, and how do you think we can get it?
Barry, he has not endorsed anyone. I'm not sure how hard they're looking at the race. I do know that one of my opponents, Christine Glasner, her husband was a campaign manager for Trump at some time, but he has not endorsed her yet anyway. And I know that he's named Jeff Van Drew, congressman, as his state chair for the election. And I think Jeff has been pretty favorable toward Curtis Bashaw. I don't know if that plays either way. I don't know what the Trump campaign will do. Yeah.
Justin, before I let you go, I don't want to keep you at Sunday morning. I know you probably want to get to church. Before we take a break, give me an opportunity to say, give me your campaign spiel. Go ahead, buddy. We've got a minute and a half or so. Let's go.
Okay, Washington right now is a corrupt cesspool of self-serving garbage, bottom line. Okay, we need a new generation of Americans to step forward to change the direction of this country. And more than anything, we need a message. And we need to confidently convey it with optimism because we are a better party, we have better candidates, we have better policies, and we can offer all Americans a better tomorrow, economically, socially, and culturally. The opportunity is there. But if we run around the country and the state and just remind people how bad everything is, they'll agree with us. And we remind them we have an open border, 300 Americans every day dying of fentanyl, inflation's high, credit card debt's high. They'll agree with us, but they won't necessarily vote for us until we give them the reason, the inspiration with those big Reagan-esque ideas of what America is, of freedom and limited government and prosperity, rule of law, and enjoying life and being happy. My Senate pledge does that. It's a message. It's conservative principles really grounded in what Reagan wanted to bring to this country in the 1980s. So it's a new generation of Americans. I think we need a message more than we need money, because we can spend all the money in the world, but if we don't inspire people to vote for us, they're not going to. And I always ask God for guidance in my campaign. I always believe good defeats evil. And please remember something about Justin Murphy that I believe I'll take to my grave. The most blessed gift that God gave this world is America.
Yep. Listen, Justin.
Amen to that.
Yep. Justin Michael Murphy, good-looking guy, looks to me, stands about 6'1", 6'2". I want to thank you for joining Barry Sable and Friends. You have been a complete gentleman. Hope to see you soon, and we're looking for a win from you.
God bless you, and Barry will be in touch.
You bet. Thanks for calling in, buddy.
They want to get rid of them for their actions regarding the encampments. And 80% of the faculty want to get rid of the presidents for cracking down on the students. Now, what's that tell you? That tells you that this is the message that the faculty is teaching to these kids. As a matter of fact, one of the kids that was getting arrested said, I don't know why you're doing this to me. I did my thesis on this. In other words, this is, I'm doing what you've taught me to do.
Just like we did last
and you're
time.
arresting me for that. So there's a conflict there because now they're getting what they've indoctrinated, but it's too much. And now they have to put a stop to it. But I think the genie's already out of the bottle, Art.
It's been out of the bottle for a long time. We're just seeing it a little bit more frequently. But at the bottom line there is, just think about it like this. We all saw that Tehran University sent an invitation to anybody that's expelled to go to school there, teachers and professors to go work there. Here's the deal. These students and these faculty, they want to divest and have money stop going to Israel for their programs in Tel Aviv with joint campuses. Well, here's the bottom line. We're doing that as a positive thing, and the same thing's already happening, really. We already have the Tehran University happening in our colleges right now.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the media is presenting, as Biden is, a moral and antiseptic moral equivalency, I'll call it, between Israel and Hamas. There is no moral equivalency here. If you don't know right and wrong in the Middle East, you've got a broken moral compass.
Owen Stauffer, hold on, boys. Owen Stauffer, my God, from Mount Laurel, one of my go-to guys. You just get up, Owen, and just made a call?
No, I've been listening to your program for the last 45 minutes, and it's been great. Hello, Eric,
Good morning,
and hello, Peter.
Owen.
How are you doing? Glad to be on. Sorry I missed Justin. I had some advice for him, and this advice will carry over to the general for all the Republicans running for office. I didn't vote for Eric. You know why I didn't vote for Eric? Because I got an early ballot. The ballots, mail-in ballots.
Yeah,
Justin.
Justin.
Justin Murphy.
We didn't even ask him about that.
Mail-in. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
The ballots were out at the end of April. I voted last week. I voted for Gasner. You know why? I don't know Murphy. Never heard of Murphy. Never heard his positions. I heard him today. I would have probably voted for him after I heard today, but it's too late. I already mailed in. So my message is to all the Republicans, you got to start getting your message out when the ballots come out.
Yeah, it's a valid point, Owen.
Because it's too late. The message is, come in November, you got to get your message out before the beginning of September.
Excellent
If you're going
point,
to wait
Owen.
a week or 2 weeks before, it's too late because you're going. All these mail-in people, they mail them in already.
Yeah, that's an excellent
And you're
point.
not going to get the votes that you need. So he's got to get his message out.
Listen, Ava's sitting here listening to us all day. Ava, your thoughts on the Barry Sable Show with Friends and what Mr. Murphy
Especially
said.
being a college student today.
Exactly.
You're right in the middle of it.
Exactly.
Hi, yes. I think it's scary being a college student, especially with everything going on, the protests. Not just me, but like most students feel very unsafe walking around late at night, going to class. It's a very scary time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
question.
concerning. Go ahead,
Uncle
Peter.
Barry, it was scary for us too, because all the drugs that we were taking, and we didn't know what it would do to you. But I guess the fear on campus has changed from the '70s.
Go ahead.
Uncle Barry, I got something about the campus protest. I think you know my son graduated from U of T, and he's a progressive, and we talk a lot about it. I'm a conservative, first of all conservative, but a social liberal, and we have a lot of discussions. But he wanted to see what happened firsthand, so he goes down to the campus Friday, so he could see what was going on because he hears a lot. And here, I'll just give you a quick takeaway: is one, it's organized. Number two is that. Most of the people that were in encampment were not Penn students. There were Penn students there, but most of them were not. And that it's being funded by outside organizations because he noticed that there's a little back door. And all these encampments have a little back door where they have their guards. And these guards are the ones that let the food come in and the other articles that they
we're
ending
the show in a few minutes, so we're not going to be able to
they
get
come
to
in a
you.
little back door. So they have this all set up. And he was watching as his van shows up, his white van shows up, and opens up, and here it's food that's been produced by some, who knows where. Now, I'm called a racist, but it looked more like a American person. Is the way to say it, was delivering the food there.
Listen, Owen,
and sneaking it in the back.
I want to make sure you're going to be available this Tuesday at Camden County GOP, Merchantville Community Center, 212 Somerset Avenue, Merchantville, New Jersey. Barry Sable and friends will be guest speakers that night. We would love for our audience to show. If anybody is in Jersey and around the corner, please come. Owen Stauffer, your last thoughts before we almost close today.
My last thoughts are you got to get out and vote. If you want things to change, you must vote. Do not sit by. Take 2 or 3 people with you to the voting booth. We got to change this country. As like Peter says, we're on the precipice of losing this country to the far left. You got to get out and vote. Make your voices heard.
Peter, your last minute thoughts too.
Well, my last thoughts are, I think people listen to the show to hear things that they will not hear in any of the other media. And I'm here to tell you right now, it's my prediction that Iran will become nuclear if they aren't already. It was Biden's wash that did it. Once again, it was the American taxpayer that funded the nuclear program in Iran, just like we funded the COVID-19 program in Wuhan. And that will be announced after the election. Iran won't announce that prior to the election because it would hurt Biden. Of course, they want Biden to win. That's my prediction. We're going to have a nuclear Iran in our hands, and God bless the world after that.
Eric, 10 seconds.
I urge you to get out and vote early, and get a mail-in ballot. Go to ericsimkin.com, ERICSIMKIN.com. And the last thing, to quote Stephen K. Bannon, ask yourself, what is your task and what is your purpose? And if that answer is to save my country, then this country will be saved.
Owen Stauffer, thanks for your call. My last thoughts. Here we go, guys. I received a call about a week ago. A friend of mine of 60 years, hard to believe, lost his mom at the age of 101. And I started thinking, God, how I wish I could have my grandparents and parents back if it was only for one more day. To my grandparents, tell me about the old country, Russia, Poland. Sit me down. I have so many questions to ask. I was always so busy when they were around. Tell me about coming to this country, Ellis Island, the corner grocery store, your store on the boardwalk in Sea Isle City. So much I want to know now. That generation is lost. How can I? I wish my mom was around one more time to tell me, clean your room and put the toilet seat down and read. Yeah, Ma, read. The guys are waiting for me. There was wire ball, stick ball, box ball, wall ball, so many more. And there was sledding down the driveway, a lunch at Jack's Delicatessen, or my dad taking me to Levis's for that special hot dog and a cherry chocolate Coke. And then, Dad, can I borrow the keys? Big date tonight. Come on, Dad. He never said no. So many fond memories. If you're fortunate to have your grandparents and parents, don't take it for granted. When we finally lose them, as I have, all those stories are lost forever. Just ask for that one last story that you could tell your kids. It's so important never to forget. How we doing, Jim, on time? We good?
Gotta go.
There you go. In closing, the future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams. Let me hear the music, please. To Peter Mimo and Eric Simpkin, thanks for joining me in studio today. Our special guest, Justin, I forgot, Justin Murphy, to Jim on the other side of the glass. Billy, on your busy Sunday morning, grateful to you for spending some time with us. You have been listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Talk Radio, 1210 WPHT. Have a great week, a healthy week, a safe week, and we will see you next weekend. Thanks for always being there. I appreciate you.
Where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Barry Sable and Friends on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Well, good morning. You have tuned in to the Barry Sable Show with friends. Grateful to you for joining us on this wet Sunday morning. Sitting in studio with me, two of my guests, Peter Mimo and Eric Simpkin, and an Ava Simpkin, PR major Rowan College, sitting in with Uncle Barry. I thank you. Call-in numbers 855-839, a simple 1210, and pound 1210 for AT&T and Verizon users. Well, before I begin this morning, people never cease to amaze me. I really have to get this off my chest, especially to people who I know who are successful and educated. Case in point, over the last 10 days, I've learned quite a bit about our former president, Mr. Trump. Things I never knew, like he had Jeffrey Epstein killed. Some years ago, he raped a 12-year-old girl in Atlantic City, and everybody knows about it. If elected again, he would never leave the White House. Wow. I mean, come on. It's time to get real. And then I was told from a highly educated woman that under Biden, interest rates on school loans has gone down to 4%, which may be true. But not so long ago, get this one, interest rates, borrowing money from a bank, were at 40%. I can't believe that people are so foolish. Guys, it's just unbelievable to me how people are thinking out of the box. Just had to throw that out there. So, as a senator, you take action on bills, resolutions, amendments, motions, nominations, and treaties by voting. Senators vote in a variety of ways, including roll call votes, voice votes, and unanimous consent. The Senate of the United States shall have power to make treaties, appoint ambassadors and judges to the Supreme Court. The Senate tries cases of impeachment. I don't know where that's been, and a higher authority over the House of Representatives. So, Peter, is anybody working in the Senate today?
Good morning, Barry.
Yes,
Good morning,
sir.
Eric, Eva, Jim, Larry, Joe. Boy, our crew is really growing.
Yes.
And I want to give a shout out to our listeners for that.
Yeah.
I believe our listeners come to our show because they're going to hear things that they don't hear on the mainstream media and in the newsprint, and also they're going to hear things that they know are true, that they know that we're not here. We don't have any sponsors to that we have to answer to. Not that we don't want any, Uncle Barry, in case
we're working on it,
comes
Pete.
up. But we have a really good, and we're gaining we're gaining some attention, and I think people like our message. If we can keep it honest, objective, and truthful, there's a good message there because you don't get that anywhere else. As far as the Senate's concerned, to me, the Senate is 100% silent. They're like an old age home. They should get some new rocking chairs, put them out front. Nothing ever happens in the Senate. Have you seen the Senate response to the Trump indictments? I haven't. McConnell's statement, I haven't seen anything on it. How about the border? How about the out-of-control spending? How about Biden's corruption? Have you seen the Senate Republicans' statement on that?
Not I. Have you, Eric?
I haven't heard a thing,
Yeah.
and it's probably because they have something on all of them. They're all afraid that whatever kiddie porn they have on their computers is going to get found.
Yeah, the
And
Senate
that's
has
what's happening,
been.
is talk about it.
I mean, they've really been absent to the fight, haven't they, Eric? They've really been gone.
They're
And it reminds me of
absent and
Chris Christie.
absent-minded.
He ran for the middle. The middle of what? There is no middle. There there is no middle. This is a culture war. These are people that believe that Hamas is on the right side of that war. These are people that believe that men can give birth. I mean, there is no middle. Okay, so you got to pick your side, and you got to come out fighting, because we are in a culture war, and we've been in one for a while. I think people are starting to understand that.
I had a Jewish friend say to me the other day, we can't have Donald Trump back in office. We're going to go back to the gas chamber. That's literally what you said to me. How sad. And by the way, tonight begins Yom HaShoah, which is Holocaust Remembrance Day. I'd just like to share one thing with you. As full disclaimer, yes, I'm Jewish, but I'm a 100% proud MAGA American. Okay, and that's why I'm here. And I would like to just quote Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson. He's considered one of the most influential Jewish leaders of the 21st century about the Holocaust. He said the most important thing about the Holocaust was not how we do or do not understand it, nor even how we memorialize its victims, but what we do about it. If we allow the pain and despair to harden us from raising a new generation of Jews with a strong commitment to their Jewishness, then Hitler's final solution will be realized, God forbid. But if we rebuild, if we raise a generation proud of and committed to their Jewishness, we will have triumph. And I'm here to tell you, as Americans, we must do the same. Barry?
Well, as a 50-year-old attorney, U.S. veteran, former Tabernacle Mayor Justin Michael Murphy joined the race for the Republican U.S. Senate nomination in January of 2024, becoming the latest entry into a race for the seat indicted Democrat Bob Menendez held for over 18 years. Long time. I have a two-word answer as to why I'm running for U.S. Senate. I care, Murphy said. I care that we are a secure and prosperous nation. I care about our country's culture and how much of our paychecks are taken by the federal government. I care about our country's education system. And if middle-class jobs are lost to overseas competitors, we are in more trouble than ever. Plenty to talk about here. We are a nation facing numerous threats, he goes on to say. Radical Islamic terrorism, culture war, hostile foreign governments, China, Russia, and Iran, and rampant crime. We are a nation with severe economic issues, debt, deficit, inflation, credit card debt, economic insecurity. It's unacceptable to the American people, and we continue to stagnate in this malaise. Justin Michael Murphy, welcome and thank you for joining me and my guest this morning on Barry, Sable, and Friends. How the heck are you, my friend?
Barry, good morning. How are you? Peter and Eric, how's everything going? And thank you for having me on.
A pleasure to meet you on the radio.
Good to talk to you,
Absolutely.
Justin.
In person.
Happy to hear you.
Same here, Eric. All is well here. And Barry, thank you for that. And my campaign is very appreciative of the time that we get to spend with you this morning.
Yeah, you are absolutely welcome. So I guess right out of the chute, I'm going to ask you what's going on college campuses. I guess it has to have a feather up your everywhere. How's that? So
yeah, it sure
what are your
does.
thoughts?
If you look at, actually, I was thinking about this when I woke up this morning. If you look at what happened October 7th, which was an invasion of Israel. It wasn't just a band of guerrillas that went in for a nighttime raid. This was an invasion of the nation state of Israel, funded and organized, trained and planned by Iran through their proxy Hamas. And they would do the same with Hezbollah on the northern side of Israel if they could get away with it. If you look at that, and then you see how violent it was, how inhumane it was, and then how it directly led and is directly connected to what's happening on American soil today on American college campuses. And you look at this, and the first thing I think of, Barry, is the same people who were burning city streets in 2020 are now walking across college campuses carrying Palestinian flags. The same people who were marching in the name of BLM and Antifa in 2020 are now doing the same thing on college campuses. They see a problem, and why let it go to waste? Here's another opportunity to try to destroy America, sow discord and divisiveness, disrupt everyone's life, disrupt college education, disrupt college graduations. And the saddest part about this, these kids were taught this throughout their academia careers. They were taught, the college professors, the university professors, I don't think in large part are bothered by what these kids are doing. And then where's the punishment? Where's the rule of law? Where's the consideration for the kid that's just trying to go to get an education?
Yeah. Well,
they're not bothered by it.
No, Justin, it's funny. I had a conversation Probably 6:30 in the morning. Seth Grossman woke me up, and he tells me all the time.
12:10
and we
to
talk
be a
about
PhD.
culture. And frankly, I'm much concerned about what kids are being taught in school today. I mean, I think it's unbelievable. I don't know what the curriculum is, so maybe you have an idea. Can you give my listeners what are kids being taught in school? Is there arithmetic? Is there history? Does anybody know the allegiance to this country? Does anybody know about?
What's your name?
Oh, I don't care. Where do you want to go with me, Eric?
What I'd like to know, Justin, what do you
Steve,
think about
I don't even want to be
the
taking any
United
calls
States
at the
Department of
moment 'cause we have a
Education?
guest,
What
so
needs
you
to
wanna
be
try
done
calling
there
us
to
back?
stop this from trampling
keep
our
the
children
whole
and
waiting.
families? This is totally against
All right,
the
thanks,
American
Steve.
core values of family, God, and country.
There you go.
What are we going to do about it at Senate level, Justin?
Yeah, no question. Eric, when I had the privilege and honor to run for New Jersey's 3rd Congressional District seat in 2008 and 2010, and of course now in the Republican primary for our U.S. Senate seat, and I have the same position now than I had back then. In my opinion, and it's in my Senate pledge, the United States Federal Department of Education should be abolished. Should be abolished.
I'm with you, brother.
And education is a state and local matter. It should be abolished, and the money, it's $100 billion a year budget at the federal DOA, $100+ billion a year, and they do not educate a single child. Take that money. I'll challenge anybody. Oh, I'm anti-education? No. Abolish the Federal Department of Education. Take their budget that's in far in excess of $100 billion a year and inject that directly into each local school board across the country and put the money in the classroom where there's education taking place with teachers and students. I challenge anybody on the left to dispute that, and they will. They'll come up with some reason why that's a bad idea. But if I said I wanted to have a bond issue to raise $100 billion to give to education, they'd be all for it. Just don't take it out of their Federal Department of Education. The Federal Department of Education does not educate a single child in this country. The federal government should not be involved in education. It is a state and local matter, and the money should be there with the kids and the teachers in the classroom.
Before I go to Peter, he always tells me about truancy. Listen, kids are graduating school today, and they can't read or write. I mean,
Sure.
come on, Peter.
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Murphy, President Reagan had the Department of Education pretty much stopped, and the GOP in the Senate did not support him. That's how come we still have the Department of Education. He lost with Republican votes to get rid of the Department of Education. So I wish you a lot of luck on that, because I agree with you 100% that this is education's a local issue, and it starts from the bottom up. Speaking as far as that's concerned, how did New Jersey schools stack up against the national average? We think that, personally, Barry Sable and friends thinks that education is the biggest civil rights issue of our time, with school choice, given if you really want equity, you have to give kids in inner city neighborhoods the same opportunities as the kids that go to private schools. And hopefully over time you'll get equity. So what are your feelings on New Jersey education, and how can we improve it?
Well, education, not just in the state of New Jersey, Peter, but more broadly, I think there's an opportunity here because of the use of public education curriculum to sexualize children with this horrendous agenda that's being shoved down parents' throats and students' throats, and it's demonic, mutilating children, sexualizing children through public school curriculum. It's a sickness. In my opinion, okay, the Republican Party has an opportunity here to be the party of parents. We can be for school choice, school vouchers. We need to support federal legislation that's already pending in the Senate, actually, that protects parental rights, and we need federal legislation that protects children from this. But we have the opportunity to be the party of parents when we come down clearly on the side of the parents. I always say there's no co-parenting arrangement between government and parents. Now, those on the left and the teachers' unions, okay, think a lot differently than most of us. Let me give you an example. I'm staring at my computer right now. Fox News splash page. Here you go. Chicago Teachers Union demands, they're not asking, they're demanding free abortions, cash for migrants, and $145,000 a year in minimum salaries. There's your teachers union.
How's this going to come to an end, my friend?
You have to take away the decision-making from the teachers' unions and break the monopoly they have on public education at the K-12 level. You need school. This is what I'm saying. The Republican Party has a beautiful opportunity right now to reach out to parents and say, we're the party of parents, we're the party of education. We want it vibrant. We want kids taught to be educated, reading, writing, arithmetic, civics, and history. We're going to do it with school choice, with school vouchers. We're going to invest in our own schools. We're going to have legislation to protect parents and children. And you got to take the power away from where it is right now, which is a stronghold monopoly by the teachers union.
Listen, we are up against the break, Mr. Murphy. Don't lose your thoughts. You have been listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. See you on the other side. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Please don't leave us.